2,000 years and half a world away. Dying trees still will grow greener when you pray. These lines from Bruce Cockburn's iconic song, All the Diamonds, are soaked in an Easter faith. 2,000 years and half a world away. Dying trees still will grow greener when you pray. We know something about dying trees, don't we? A dying tree could be a tree that is literally dying, but it could also be a tree to die on. Trees being decimated by climate change, trees clear-cut in the Amazon and around the world, or the trees of death, crucifixion trees, the lynching trees. Whatever kind of trees you're thinking of, Cockburn sings that they can still grow greener when you pray. They can overcome death. They can begin to bear new fruit. They can provide comfort and shade, and they can become symbols of life rather than death when you pray. Why? Well, because of something that happened 2,000 years ago and half a world away. The forces of fear and control, the dynamics of greed and hatred put Jesus on a cross and sealed him in a tomb, but they could not keep him there. As Desmond Tutu prayed, life is stronger than death and love is stronger than hatred, and we might add, hope is stronger than fear. 45 years ago, in his song Feast of Fools, Cockburn sang, "It's time for the silent criers to be held in love." And it's time for the singers of songs without hope to take a hard look and start from scratch again. In many ways, Cockburn has been holding silent criers in love through his music. And with eyes wide open to the horrors, betrayals, and profound brokenness of our world, he has persisted in singing songs of hope. But hope isn't sentimentality, nor is hope cheap optimism. No, hope is kicking at the darkness until it bleeds daylight. Hope is born of facing the crises of our time, refusing to avert our gaze from the sorrow and pain, resisting the temptation to numbness and denial. And hope is never easy to hand. It's something we work towards, something that animates our lives, even while it is always waiting for a miracle. In biblical faith, Easter marks the miracle of resurrection. Death never gets the last word. The violent powers of the empire don't get the last laugh. So this Eastertide, in the face of climate anxiety and grief, in the face of brutality and violence in Ukraine and around the world, in the face of the betrayals and disappointments of our lives, we are invited to embrace an open-eyed hope. And I'd like to suggest that reading scripture while listening to Canadian singer-songwriter Bruce Cockburn just might help us with experiencing resurrection hope anew this year. Now, throughout my adult life, my years as a campus chaplain, as a writer, scholar, and professor, and in the various seasons of my life, I have found Cockburn's music to resonate deeply with scripture and to be a faithful companion on the path of Christian discipleship. Some years ago, after Bruce had written his memoir, Rumors of Glory, I asked him if he had written any new songs. "Yeah," he replied. "I've written something very Christian." "Like, how Christian?" I asked. "Like, get on the Jesus train Christian," he replied. You don't get much more gospel than that. Jesus Train was released in 2017 on the Bone on Bone album. And while the motif of trains has been ubiquitous in Bruce's body of work, this train has a clear destination. I'm on a Jesus train, headed for the city of God. Headed for the city of God. What on earth is the city of God? Can such a city even exist on earth? And what does Easter hope have to do with this city? So, over 4 evenings this Eastertide, we're going to take our lead from Cockburn and seek to hear the resonances between his music and biblical texts on the city. So friends, for Eastertide at Bible Remixed, I invite you to join me on board the Jesus Train. On the Jesus Train, Bruce Cockburn and a Biblical Imagination will begin on April 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and will run for 4 weeks. Now I've saved the best for last. On May 15th, we will have a special guest. In the middle of a tour in the southwestern United States, Bruce Cockburn will join us live for our final class. We'll talk to Bruce about the imagination of hope and get an evocative reading of the world and of the soul of this artist correspondent. I hope you will join us for this Eastertide Bible study and listening party.